Hello, everybody. I am Miranda Michaelis. I'll be talking about America Chavez, also known as Miss America. It's Marvel's queer Latina superhero. This video is inspired by Sargonavakat's The Dinkery channel in his recent video, The Suicide of the Comic Book Industry. And here is what I wanted to add to it. And for me, I'm not going to remember everything because I don't know, I've been really sick lately. I've been really, really sick. So I've been taking some pills and, like, as you know, I have allergies. So I take Allegra and then I have a chronic cough. I've been coughing chronically for 4 years straight, pretty much. Chronic cough, and it seems like it's a post nasal drip. So I take Mucinex for that. But then I had a headache, so I took aspirin for the headache. So I've been covered with pills, buried with pills. And my mind was like elsewhere, kind of elsewhere. And then, like, my aunts called me, and I felt like I was just going to vomit out aspirin. But, I'm finding now the headache has gone away. But still, I just been so, so sick. So my mind's been kind of out of it. Not too out of it. I can still speak coherently, but it's kind of a lot like I just been kind of like, yeah, yeah. If you've ever just if you've ever just been really sick and had a lot of pills in you, you probably know what I mean. But anyway, so here's what I wanted to add. I mean, I don't disagree with Sargon. I just wanted to give my own personal take on the same thing. Now, the difference between me and Sargon is that when I was a child, I absolutely loved Batman and Robin. I loved Batman. I loved that movie with Val Kilmer and Nicole Kidman. Like, I think it's called Batman Beyond. I just loved watching Batman as a kid. I just loved it. I like Batman more than Superman. Superman was kind of like, but Batman, I just thought he was awesome. But I mean, I could kind of see why Sargon doesn't like him, like when you look at Antifa, because Batman, Antifa, I mean, they both wear all black. They both are covered with masks. They're both rich white people. They're both vigilantes that go around beating people up. I could see why Sargon doesn't like Batman, and Antifa ruined Batman for me, as well as some of the really crappy, repetitive Batman movies. But for me, I never thought about Batman's race or gender. Like, I just liked him. Him being white, I never thought of that. You know, so I don't like the social justice talking points that black people are constantly thinking about their race, or when they walk out the house, they think about their race. And I don't obsess over being black. Being black is what I am. Being black is not something I obsess over. It's not, at the most I could understand where some people in the left are coming from, the more moderate people, or the people who are kind of a lot like, hey, when I was a kid, it's frustrating when you look at top beautiful women and you don't see a single black person listed as a beautiful woman. You just see like 100 female celebrities and they're all white. That's kind of understandable. Nobody black is listed as beautiful, or kind of like how Hollywood itself sometimes bring race into the picture when it comes to beauty. It's kind of a lot like, oh my God, her beautiful blonde hair, her beautiful blue eyes, her beautiful white skin, where Hollywood itself is bringing race into the picture, and it's the milky white skin that makes a person beautiful, because that is, you know, saying whites is beautiful, instead of, I don't know, you don't really see all that many shows where it's kind of like that beautiful chocolatey skin, or, the piece of brown sugar. You don't really see that, but it's like that beautiful milky white skin. And why does, skin tone have to has to do with beauty? Like, what if a person has um vitiligo, vitiligo, well, whatever Michael Jackson had. What if that person had an illness that made them change skin tones? Are they still beautiful? Would you get a divorce? Would you get a divorce if you went for a black person, but then they had white patches on their skin, and so they just use some cream for vitiligo or whatnot, and they look more pale? I mean, to me, I could sort of understand that people see your image, first, then they learn about your personality. But for me, it's kind of a lot like, a guy doesn't have to look 100% the way I like. I could like a guy who is okay looking but treats me well. To me, how a person treats me is far more important, and there will probably be far less divorces if people were like, I want to be with a person who treats me well. It's kind of like, if you look great, that's fine, but looking great doesn't mean you would treat me well. You can look great and treat a person poorly. Like, I knew a girl, she dated a guy who was hot. He was fine. This guy was so hot, but he was abusive. He would constantly choke her. Now it's kind of like, do you want to be with a guy so hot and not care if he chokes you or not? That's you. But it's kind of like, I could overlook looks, just for to be with a guy who treats me well. So I could care less about race and focus more on being well treated. At most, if it's a cultural argument, it's a better argument. It's like, if you want to be with a person who's culturally similar to you, that would make a lot more sense rather than dating a person who has a different culture than you. However, there are black people who love Italian food. There are black people who speak Italian and eat Italian. There are black people who eat Mexican food and speak Spanish. There are black people who speak Chinese, read Chinese, eat Chinese, and there are black people like me who speak a little bit of Japanese and listen to J music. Like, I have my favorite Japanese artists like Mizushita Yuya. I like some of the Gazettes. I like Versailles. I like, I think it's called Sync Yet. There are Japanese bands I like, So it's kind of a lot like, while you can look at a person and guess that their culture is like this, they're still individuals. They still are individuals. That would be like me going, all white women. If you're a white woman, you must love Justin Bieber. And if you are a white man, you must love heavy metal or country music. and you would probably be like, well, I'm white, so but I listen to rap and hip hop. We're all different. That's why I believe in individualism. Now, when it comes to the um article Sargon of Akkad was talking about, I noticed that they keep pandering to feminism. I noticed that they keep I noticed that they just keep, I don't know, kissing the ass of social justice. And even on his main channel, Sargon of Akkad covered a guy who was really, he just kept apologizing for supporting Gamergate. And to me, it leaves me questioning, is there a middleman? And if there is a middleman, shouldn't we just get rid of them? Because what if people who make comic books or video games have to go through somebody? That's the reason why they keep capitulating. Like, what if Marvel was like, we would like to drop diversity because it's not selling well? But what if they have a middleman who threatens them financially or threatens to shut them down? So they just capitulate. If there is a middleman, then I mean, hopefully they could separate from this middleman and could just focus directly to the audience. So maybe there's a bigger picture that we're unaware of, you know. And here's another problem I have with it. I don't think that the people complaining are the exact same people buying because the sales have gone down. And that was Sargon's opening article. It is how diversity is making all of their sales drop and how, they would rather go back to the way they've been doing. So it makes me think that the people who are doing all of the complaining are not the same people buying. And shouldn't these comic book creators or video game creators focus on the people buying rather than the people complaining? But again, I mean, again, if there's a middleman, I could understand while they would focus on the people complaining as opposed to the people buying. But, either way you could go bankrupt. So you may as well just put your comics online and just do Patreon because I'm pretty sure that people are eager for amazing comments, that they would rather just, pay for your Patreon and just do it that way. And another problem with this America Chavez shit is that I don't think people are interested in a moral lecture. I just don't think that people just want to just read up on somebody else's moral values. It's kind of a lot like if this was the 1980s and a Christian were to go, this is no good. This is no good. This would be better if we put some biblical structure in comic books. Like we could improve comic books by talking about Jesus and God. When I mean, sure, for a Christian audience, but I mean, I don't think when it comes to Christianity or feminism or social justice, that people care about morality that much. I don't think people care about morality as much as Christians think they do. I don't think people think about morality as much as feminists think other people do. I'm pretty sure that people just want to go to work, go home, take care of their wife and kids, and just read comic books on their downtime. And they don't want to think about some religious or moral lecture. It's no difference than those really, really boring Christian cartoons where it's like, let's talk about Jesus. Now let us pray. Those are the most boring, uninteresting cartoons ever. And the more interesting cartoons were like Batman, where you just get to watch a lot of action. Nobody really cares about other people's morals. And in this article, they were talking about a lesbian breakup that just seems unrealistic. And it makes me think that the breakup was like really civil and really polite, when really, realistically, real people would say, fuck you, bitch. Fuck you, you whore. Even in a lesbian relationship, I mean, lesbian relationships is the most abusive type of relationship. A lesbian relationship is like more abusive than heterosexual relationships. Gay relationships or a man on a man relationships are the best relationships. They have the least amounts of abuse, while lesbian relationships have the most abuse when it comes to all the different types of relationships. And in the end, people do not go, I would like to respectfully break up with you. Let's be friends. Or I would like to respectfully break up with you and let's just go our separate ways. When it comes to that doesn't happen. Whether feminists like it or not, people do throw insults at each other. People would say, fuck you, bitch. Fuck you, you goddamn whore. Fuck you, you cunts. That is how real people are. Where instead, I would think that a show or a movie would be more interesting if people did have character flaws, because it would make the characters more real. And again, I'm referring to what I was thinking about when they say that this lesbian breakup from a lesbian girlfriend that the reader has no idea about and shouldn't care about. I just think that feminists think that people are just supposed to be civil and respectful all the time. Kind of like, do not ever say or use the word cunt. When real people do throw insults at people they don't like. Even when feminists don't like somebody, they'll call them racist, sexist, misogynist, homophobe, transphobe. That is still name calling. That is still name calling. When you call a person racist, sexist, misogynist, homophobe, transphobe, that is still name calling. And, trying to get people fired, that is very abusive. That is abusive behavior right there. And, it's kind of like even feminists would let go of their principles and call people fats. They would call people fats. Like I've been called fats. I mean, I didn't really care because I am fat, but, like there was this feminist who kept calling me fats just because I disagreed with him on something. You know, what about your rules? What about your principles? You know what I'm saying? But realistically speaking, being a realist, people insult each other, and that is better than violence. That is better than trying to get people fired from their job. It is better and healthier that we insult people than would lay a hand on them. I care far more about physical abuse than insults. I could ignore an insult. A person could call me a bitch, a whore, a cunt, whatnot. I could ignore it. I could block that if I want. More likely than not, so I would just mute them if they keep going at it. Like, I may, use the mute button if a person kept calling me a nigger over and over and over again and they have nothing else to say. because I do not want that many notifications. And again, I don't really care what they have to say, but it's just how people are. And this is why you have shitty TV shows nowadays, because the people are like not real people. You know, it would have so much sex in it. Like if I wanted to see that much sex, I would just watch porn because porn got you beat. Like when it comes to these TV shows, like these daytime soap operas, I mean, you're not going to see anything. So, like porn has got TV way beats. I guess it's for teenagers or something, but TV is very sexualized and unrealistic because, people, they don't act like real people. Real people are going to say some really ugly things to you. And even with teenagers say fuck a lot. Teenagers say bullshit. Teenagers say faggots, whether you like it or not. This is how real people talk. And censoring it from television, it's not going to make it go away, because this isn't the only time there has been censorship. There has been censorship with Christianity. Christianity had a lot of censorship in it too. And people still said all kinds of things. People still say fuck. It doesn't matter that you censored it. People still say fuck. Christian censorship didn't stop people from saying fuck. It didn't stop people from saying bullshits. It didn't stop people from saying bitch. People are still going to be that way. And feminism is not going to stop it either. So characters would come far more to life if we just showed these character flaws. That's why when you watch older shows, they're more interesting. Like Blazing Saddles was a lot more interesting because people acted like real people. It's the character flaws that makes people interesting because it brings characters to life. And you probably could think of characters like this or like that because it was poking fun of like bigots. So yes, the N word got used, but it ends up poking fun at bigots. I mean, the star of the show was black. The star of the movie was a black guy. The black guy was charming, charismatic, smart, and the bigots were dumb, stupid, easily manipulated. I mean, it was poking fun of bigots. So it's kind of a lot like, because, you know, political correctness lacks nuance, you're being punished for making fun of the group you have a problem with. I mean, it's not really different when Michael Rowlands got his video banned because he was making fun of anti-feminists. When for me, I'm for everybody's free speech. I'm for the free speech of feminists. I'm for the free speech of anti-feminists. I am even for the free speech of the alt-right. But I believe that I believe humor is the greatest comeback. I believe that's when you can make fun of them and when you could ridicule them. That's the way you reach out to people. You reach out to people through humor and mockery because that's what Blazing Saddles was. It mocked the racists, it mocked them, and it was really funny to watch. Or, address their arguments. You could do that too. But anyway, those are my reasons why I just thought that Miss America is not going to sell too well, or is not selling too well, because it's kind of like a queer Latina. I'm just not interested. in a political, it's like I wouldn't even be interested. It's like, do you want to read a comic about Jesus and the Lord, thou God? And, it's like nobody cares about your morals. And you're just shoving your morals onto other people, and your morals are unwanted. I don't care about your morals. People just want to go to work, take care of their kids, and read comic books or watch a movie or a TV show. They want to do all this to relax. They don't want a moral lecture. And it's like being a kid and listening to a boring preacher preach when you would just rather go home and watch cartoons because it's fun. And there's nothing fun about hearing a lecture about feminism. Intersectional feminism is the new religion, and nobody just really cares. People just want to do their own thing. And, I am not trying to offend the Christians, by the way. I'm not trying to upset you. And I'm pretty sure that there are fun churches out there. Like, I have visited churches that were actually a lot of fun. They had, pretty good music going on, and it didn't really focus on hellfire. Instead of talking about hell, they just talk about the love of Jesus, and it's, the whole country music loving Christians. There are different sets of Christianity, but I do think that, usually the people who talk about hellfire, they tend to have, you know, a bigger a lot more people tend to go there. But yeah. Anyway, that is what I wanted to say. Sorry it's not my best video out there, but man, I've just been sick and I've been taking pills to deal with the symptoms, so I've been mentally out of it. So I just hope this video does well anyway, but man, I've been sick, so sorry about that. But if you like this video anyway, please hit that like button. And, if you disagree with anything I've said, feel free to comment. And if you haven't already, if you really like me, please subscribe to my channel. And feel free to follow me everywhere. Feel free to follow me on Twitter. Feel free to follow me on Gabby. Feel free to follow me all over the place. I am pretty much Randomly Kylis, pretty much everywhere. You know, bye bye.